Hey Cal, guess where I am?
Oh, tell me, because I'm really excited to hear. I hope that you've landed.
I have landed. I'm here. I'm in Islamabad. It's very, very
Wow.
exciting. Yeah, so I've been here a couple of days, just getting over jet lag and everything else. Haven't got out of the hotel yet because we've just had lots of things to sort out. But I'm off to the ground today to watch a bit of
Fantastic.
training. So yes, get out and about and start to get an idea. And first time at Rawalpindi Stadium. So it's
Brilliant.
been amazing. Yeah, everyone has been so welcoming so far. Everyone from the immigration officer to the staff in the hotel, everyone is incredibly welcoming and excited that we are here. So if
I
that's
can only
what
imagine.
yeah, if that's what a schmuck like me is getting, yeah, imagine what it's like for the team. Yeah.
No, you're no schmuck. You're a very important part of this series. It's the first time it's going to be covered, an Australian series covered in Pakistan for well over 20 years. This is huge, and you're a big part of it.
Huge, huge. It's all about me.
Yes, that's
All
right.
about me.
We'll make it
It's
all about you.
what it is all about. Yeah, always. What it is about, though, it's about timed out. So let's get on with the show. We've got lots to talk about. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Timed Out for Sporting News. Special because, well, we've never done an edition where I've been in Pakistan before. So
That's
it's
right.
very exciting.
Enormous. This is
It is
massive.
massive. It's huge. I can tell you the buzz around the hotel is just huge. I've only been at the hotel so far. I haven't been to the ground yet, but everyone is so excited to be here, that we are here. So I think that that's going to just grow in the next few weeks. But the Australians are here. They're in the same hotel as me, but they're in a different section. So I haven't physically
Right.
seen them. The security is incredibly
Okay.
tight outside the hotel, inside the hotel. So we'll all feel very safe here. But it's an unusual one for them,
Great.
Cal, because they're going into this first test with no warm up games or anything else. They, as we speak, haven't seen the pitch yet. They'll get their first look at it at training today. So there's going to have to be a lot of fairly quick assessments made, and also, I guess, selection issues and strategies about how they're going to approach this test.
Yeah, no, that's right. Absolutely. It's. I mean, this is an enormous test series. This one, and Australia hasn't played a test match in Pakistan for over 20 years. I mean, it's extraordinary that it's finally happening. It's going to be just one of the biggest test series that we've seen in such a long period of time. And to see it happening now and actually going ahead is it's fantastic for not just Australian cricket, but also Pakistan cricket and international cricket. So the fans of Pakistan are going to go nuts. And Australia are really going to want to put their best foot forward going into this test match. So look, I think it's going to be tricky for them. They'll learn a lot over the next 24 to 48 hours as to what conditions they'll be coming up against. Obviously, they'll get to go down to the ground, check out the wicket, see what they think it might look like in 2 to 3 days' time. They'll have to have a bit of a guessing game about, whether what it looks like now is going to be considerably different to what it looks like for the first session on day one, or whether it'll look pretty similar. So it's going to be a bit of a guessing game from that point of view, but they'll start to mould their preparation around what the facility looks like, what the pitch looks like, and how it might play. And that will lead to also thoughts around what the balance of the team will look like as well. Whether to go in with an extra spinner, one less seamer. Do they bat, Cameron Green up one so they can fit a spinner in without dropping a fast bowler? All of these permutations will be ironed out over the next few days. But certainly we're going into unknown territory for the first time in a long time. It's seriously exciting. I can't wait to see it all unfold. But Pakistan aren't without a few troubles themselves. They've got a few injury issues too.
Yeah, and it's just really interesting, isn't it? Because I think when at Rawalpindi, when South Africa came here, it was the quicks who took the wickets. So that's going to give Australia, I guess, a lot to think about. Probably will suit their batting a bit more you'd think as well, wouldn't you? What do you think they might do as far as the batting lineup goes?
Yeah, look, to be honest, I still feel like, you've got your top, top six really nailed down. I think Usman's opening the batting, and I think Travis Head's definitely locked in at 5. Cameron Green's offering the balance with the seam up option. I don't see too much changing there. I'm not sure about you though, Mel. You might have heard or seen something over the last few days that might suggest otherwise.
No, not so much yet. I think because the players haven't seen things yet, but I think you're right, and I think Usman Khawaja will open the batting. I mean, there's been so much attention over here, focus on him as well. He spoke to the media yesterday and even answered some of the journalists' questions in Urdu, which I think, obviously has endeared him even more than he could have been endeared before. So, I think there's a huge amount focused on him. He's almost as much as his batting is important, it feels like he's also quite important symbolically to the Australian team. So I think that's there, and I think you're right. And Cameron Green is for me is a really, really interesting one. Just how that Australia use him and when they use him, where he fits in on this tour.
Yeah.
So we'll have a look at training and see what clues there are. But it's just. I can't describe to you just how much of a buzz there already is, even just around here. In the media so far, it's all about the Australians arriving at the moment. You really get a sense of how how important this is for them. So I just can't wait. It's going to be brilliant. But let us move on to the next topic and talk a little bit about Pakistan. And when you're talking about fast bowlers, it's a real blow for them. They've got a couple of injuries that have come up, which is, it's a real blow for them. They have lost Hassan Ali. That's a huge loss. And Fahim Ashraf as well is the other one. They've lost the seeming all-rounder. They have brought in a couple of players into the squad. So Hassan has a strain, some sort of muscle strain. Ashraf has a hamstring strain. So they should be fit for the second test. But just, what do you think? Because we've spoken a bit about Shaheen Shah Afridi and his importance. But does that mean he doesn't have the support that you'd want him to have in that first test?
Yeah, look, it certainly throws a larger load onto his shoulders, and generally he will be a guy that they'll throw the ball to try and make the breakthrough and continue to pile the pressure on a side if they lose a wicket or two, just to try and really hammer home the effect of those wickets. But if they have to turn to him too often, that'll wear him down over the entirety of the Test series. So they're going to have to be pretty savvy with the way they use him and not get too carried away with bowling him in long spells. I think the conditions are going to be a little bit cooler in the first Test than as we go through in the other regions of Pakistan. But certainly you don't want to be grinding him into the dirt early. The Australians will try and bat really, really big in the first innings to try to do exactly that. It's going to be really important that Pakistan make sure that they're not overusing him and throwing to him too often. They're going to have to show faith in the other bowlers so that they keep him at his best throughout the series, because if they wear him down too much early in the series, which is exactly what the Australians will try to do, it'll leave them a long way behind going into later Test matches, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I can confirm, being on the ground, that it is very, very mild as far as the temperatures go. It's chilly at night. Like, you need a cardigan when you go out. So it's probably, in the evenings, it quickly drops in the mornings and the evenings to sort of about 11 or 12. So, and then up in the 20s during the day. So it's beautiful. It's really quite pleasant. So that's what we, as far as I know, at least I know the atmospheric conditions are a bit like that. But yeah, it's interesting, and because we've spoken about how excited we are about watching Shaheen Shah Afridi,
Yes.
and you're right that there may be a certain amount of pressure on him now. So we've seen Australia's fast bowling depth tested throughout the summer during the Ashes at home, and now this might be a test for Pakistan to just look at the depth of quick bowling that they've got here and see what's available. So if someone comes up and does a Scott Boland, then they'll be very, very happy. We shall find out.
That was a
Yeah.
once in a lifetime style of entrance into international cricket, wasn't it? That was quite phenomenal, and what a story. But there's certainly an enormous amount of talent within Pakistan when it comes to fast bowling, and I've seen it firsthand in the PSL. I'm certainly excited to see how the replacements go. We've got obviously a couple of really talented cricketers coming in. Obviously, Iftikhar Ahmed comes in and Mohammad Wasim Jr. It's going to be, a fair bit of pressure on those guys to step up to the plate because they're replacing some very, very handy cricketers.
Yeah, they certainly are. Well, time will tell. The clock is ticking and we will be there soon. Okay, let's turn to the Women's World Cup because that is coming very, very quickly as well. Australia tuning up nicely. Out of quarantine, Meg Lanning looks like she was absolutely on fire against New Zealand in the warm-up match. Interesting leading into this because New Zealand played that series against India. And just dominated. India just won that last match. But New Zealand looked really, really dominant. But then have come up against Australia in the warm-up, and Australia looked pretty good there. But India having come so close in the last couple of World Cups, and there's a huge amount of attention and focus on them. So they're probably a bit unhappy with that build-up after performing, quite competitively against Australia earlier or last year. How do you see this? I mean, it's so hard to look past Australia because they are so dominant, and this is the one trophy that they don't have. And while they might not want to be focusing on that or anything else, deep down, it rankles with them that they don't have this, and they really, really want it. Do you think there's anybody who's likely to really challenge them?
Oh, look, I find it so hard to go past the Australian women. They've just got so much depth, and they've probably even added to it over the last 12, 18 months. We see the likes of Talia McGrath come in and have such a great impact. Annabelle Sutherland's come in and had an impact. And you throw them in and amongst a huge cast of bowlers and batters that have already been established. But, there's a couple in Darcy Brown as well and Annabelle Sutherland. The way that they've taken to international cricket has been very impressive. So you throw all of those players in and amongst the likes of Rachel Haynes, Meg Lanning, Alyssa Healy, Elise Perry, who's started to really find her stride in the last 5 or 6 games that she's taken to the park. It's a really dangerous lineup, and it's got so much depth that they cover just about every circumstance you could possibly find yourself in a cricket team. I can't see anyone getting anywhere near them, Mel. That's my call now. I think they'll go right through to the final. We know what it's like in knockout situations, but they'll make the final. If they can bring it on the day, look, I honestly can't see anyone beating them, but I'd have them absolutely locked for the final, and I honestly don't see anyone getting near them.
Yeah, they're certainly great favourites. I mean, it's good to see New Zealand in good form going in that, particularly Amelia Kerr. It looks to be in red hot form. Yeah, amazing. So that's great for New Zealand because they have really underperformed in the past couple of World Cups. It's felt like they've gone backwards a little bit as other teams have improved. So they might actually be a little bit better at home, familiar conditions, any home crowds behind them as well. My dark horse, they're always my dark horse going into the last couple of World Cups is South Africa. I just feel like they've been on the cusp of something for a while, and they've just got some really, really great players in that lineup with some really, with a lot more experience now as well. And Laura Vulvar almost got them to the final in the T20 World Cup in
Yeah, how
Australia
good was
a
she?
year ago. She's
She
mate,
looks in
that
great
cover
touch
drive.
again,
You
Mel.
haven't,
She made 80 the other day again.
yeah, she
So
does.
she's looking in good touch.
Yeah, it's a cover drive that I would happily take to Paris for a weekend. It's that beautiful.
Yeah,
um,
you've said that a
so
few times too. It's hard to argue. It's a thing
I
of beauty.
know, I
Isn't
know.
it?
It really is. But no, and that maybe that experience of being knocked out in Sydney in the semi-final last year might be good for them. They've come so close, knocked out by England in the last one-day World Cup, right at the end as well. That was a heartbreaking loss. So look, it's really exciting, and I hope the crowds turn up, and it's just going to be hopefully a great tournament with some really competitive matches. I have no doubt. Okay,
absolutely.
let us talk about the PSL final.
Oh, yes.
Have a funny story about the PSL
Yes.
final, Cal.
More than
So
happy to
that was
talk
my
about
first
it too,
night
Mel.
after arriving here.
My team,
Yeah, of course.
the Lahore Qalandars.
Lahore,
Whatever
that's
it was.
mate. I made sure it was in here. You get to big them up. They've finally done it, which is great for them at home. I got here. That was the night I got here, and I thought, great way to beat jet lag. I'm going to sit here and watch the game with a can of local beer. Which was very nice. Murray's, the red one's my favourite.
Beautiful.
And I sat up and I was like, David Weiser again going nuts. And
pretty standard.
It was great to watch. Oh, standard, 28 off 8. It's just his a standard contribution. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then I literally passed out, sitting up in bed, fully clothed, shoes on. And then I woke up an hour later, still sitting up in bed with the TV blaring. I had just conked like you wouldn't believe. Yes, but I was able to watch the highlights. And yes, your team. What have you made of this? They're not just, I guess, their season, the final, but the whole journey of what it must mean for a franchise that has not performed in previous editions of the tournament.
Yeah, look, I think it's enormous, and that they're a team and an organisation that do provide so much to society, not just on the big stage of the PSL. They've got their own cricket academy. They provide enormous opportunity to young cricketers around the country, and they do a lot of fantastic charitable work in and around Lahore city itself. So it is great to see an organisation that does so much great work in the community get the rewards on the big stage. And I was really impressed with what I saw in my experience at the Qalandars. They showed great glimpses last season. Found themselves at the top of the table for a huge period of the tournament, then we lost our way late in the season. But this year they put it all together, which was fantastic. And I was really pleased to see Fakhar Zaman have a great tournament. I've got a lot of time for him. He's a bit of a cavalier and he's a maverick at the wicket, but we've seen him do wonderful work with the Pakistan national team. And he had a great tournament. But when it came to the crunch, Mel, and the trophy was there to be won, one of my favourites, the Professor, Mohammed Hafiz. What a performance from him on the big stage. 69 off 46, put in a great performance. And really did get, on a big stage, get the runs on the board, put a big score of 180 on the board, and asked them to chase it down. Well, the Sultans have been very good for a number of years now, but it was a fantastic bowling performance to be able to restrict them to 138. It was a wonderful performance, but if you look at that bowling attack, it's stacked. It really is and has been for years, and it was fantastic to see them with a good score on the board be able to go out there and do the business, and I just couldn't be more pumped for them and their owner, Samin Rana, who is enormously invested along with the rest of his family. It's Ben Dunk as well was there, and Fawad Ahmed as part of the staff and the playing list. So great to see them be a part of it as well. It was a fantastic reward for the team.
Yeah, Fawad Ahmed now he's now here in Islamabad. Talk about having an experienced net bowler, so he might be able to provide some insight for the Australian. Well, he
Absolutely.
posted a picture of himself with Shaheen Shah Afridi on the plane,
That's right.
going from being teammates to now, Fawad Ahmed might be passing on some tips to the Australians about the form that he's in. And when you talk about taking wickets and them being stacked, Weser taking the last wicket as well. Is that guy ever going to have to buy a meal in Lahore again in his
Never.
entire life?
No, I mean, if I was him, I'd be resettling myself in Lahore, and he would be in just about the world's biggest palace. I reckon they would be coming from everywhere to pay tribute to the man. He's just been one of the great performers. When you look at players that have really stood up and performed for individual teams, he would have to be one of the greatest players statistically to have ever played for an extended period at one franchise. His numbers are just extraordinary, and that he's much loved, and no doubt he will never have to pay for a thing in Lahore if he's ever settling in that region of the world.
Absolutely, quite rightly too, and the passion that it was obviously meant so much to him as it did in the semi-final. So it was great to see. Hey, look, just before we go, we really wanted to mention and send our best wishes and thoughts to Rod Marsh, who, is really suffering at the moment in the fight of his life, as has been said by family members. You obviously know Rod. It's quite shocking, isn't it, to hear that news?
Yeah, it really is, and absolutely, we're sending all of our thoughts to the Marsh family. It's been quite shocking news, really, for all of us. He's been a mentor of mine, particularly in my early years as a cricketer, and then later in my years as a cricketer as well. He's a member at my local golf club, Kuyonga, so I play a bit of golf with him out there, see him regularly, and I think just because the way he's carried himself, he's always been such a strong person, and a pillar of strength for Australian cricket. He's done so much fantastic work in and around South Australian cricket since settling here with his wife Roz. It's just such shocking news, and I know, you look across the history of Australian cricket, he's had as big an impact as anyone, not just on the field, but off the field in developing players. You don't have to look through the first few years, the players that went through that academy, and they were all part of that, Ricky Ponting, Steve Waugh era of strength in Australian cricket. So he helped develop those players and leaders into fantastic cricketers, but also fantastic men, and he's a huge part of the fabric of the Australian culture, not just cricket. So, we are all right behind him, and we all wish him a speedy recovery because he is such a great person, and we all love him to bits. So hopefully he's got a speedy recovery.
Yeah, well said. I think everyone in Australia is sending all of their thoughts and best wishes to the whole family, and particularly to Rod himself. So we hope to hear some good news on that very, very soon. So all our best wishes to Rod. I have to get ready, Cal, because I've got to head to the stadium soon.
How exciting.
And see what it's like. I know. First time to see Pindi. It is, and I love Pindi as a nickname. That's such a good nickname.
It's not bad, is it?
As well. I like it. Yeah, I'll send you some dispatches and some photos and everything else. I'll be covering this whole tour for Sporting News Australia, so do make sure you check out the website. We'll have news, features, might have some video stuff from there as well. So that's all coming. So yeah, do mark it up. Keep it locked on. And of course, we will be back and talking about the first test very soon. Know that you'll be staying up late and watching every night, Cal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be brilliant, and I can't wait for the first ball. I've got this feeling and hope that Australia win the toss and bat first, and Shaheen Shah Afridi gets to bowl the first ball Australia's played in Pakistan for over 20 years.
You know that I'm with you on that. I don't know if I'll be able to contain my excitement. I feel sorry for the other people in the press box because I'm just going to be so wired, even without coffee. I better watch my caffeine intake on the morning of the test.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please give us a like and subscribe and keep an eye out. And we will be back with you next week with another edition of Timed Out for Sporting News. Until then, enjoy your cricket.
See you guys.